Bendy and the Ink Machine. This cartoon craze was started in 2017 and quickly ended in 2018, so I am a bit late. Though, the second game, Bendy and Dark Revival, is releasing soon, and hopefully I'm not late to that one. Anyway, to start up my love of Bendy again, here is two theories, one being the obvious eggs. If you don't know who he is, he's a YouTuber which I'll be so grateful if you popped a sub down. If you're too lazy, I'll add an end card in the end of the video. Enjoy!
Let's see what you're hiding down there, old friend.
Before we continue, massive spoilers are ahead. In Chapter 1, Moving Pictures, your player Henry returns to his old pal, Joey Drew's studio. Though, as you quickly find out, Joey's studio is not what it used to be. It's now a huge inky mess and a huge labyrinth, which ends up being a huge demise. Also in Chapter 1, you come across the main character's desk, Henry's, and he comments, "Here's my old desk. I wasted so much time in this chair." In Chapter 5, you come across Henry's desk again, and he comments the same thing. "Here's my old desk. I wasted so much time in this chair." Let's begin with the theory. When in Joey's house, you can see a low-quality newspaper. It says, "Animator pushed too hard and found dead at desk." The rest is way too blurry to read, but we can prove that the newspaper is real, as when you see Joey, he says, "You could have pushed a little harder." What do you think it means to push hard? Do you think it means if you work too hard and you don't eat or drink? Great job! That's exactly what I was thinking about. But if he died, then how's he in Joey Drew Studios? The answer is, he's in hell. Right, now you're thinking, what? Here's an explanation. Joey Drew, who's now pretty much glued to his work, sends letters to every worker at Joey Drew Studios, including Henry, but it's a trap. When they enter, they need to collect 6 items, as Joey says, to appease the gods. But when they do, it releases the Ink Demon, also known as the popular at the time, Bendy, except he's more than a demon in the inside. It's also on the outside too. In the power of a single touch, he can corrupt you and turn into a lost one, an inky-like creature. If you escape, you will be taken to a ritual, and your soul will either transfer to Boris, Alice, or a lost one, or maybe even a searcher. But before all of this, Henry wants to return home to his daughter, Linda. But trying to come back comes with a big cost. Henry thinks if he works hard enough, he can see Linda, but he pushes too hard. But as Joey said, "You could have pushed a little harder." He disagreed. Stuck in hell, Henry is forced to do the same memories over and over, which shows in Chapter 5, when on his desk he says the same thing. Now, let's move to the obvious eggs theory. Yeah, so let's talk Bendy timeline. We're not talking about the tapes. Someone way smarter than me has probably solved them with exact dates, measurements and all sorts of stuff. Of course, I'm dumb, so I can't solve that. But instead we're talking about the evolution of Bendy's creatures and monsters. Well, it's a bit hard to explain because I'm not talking about like the timeline of when they were created, but in the order they were. So what I'm talking about is that Joey Drew himself, he had one mind. He wanted to get his cartoon characters and bring them into real life. Not like Walt Disney with their cute little costumes, but him. He wanted them to become real life. The humans inkified through his machine and brought back as beautiful creations. Of course, he did manage to get a few perfect clones, but we're going to talk about that later. So, his first experiment began with the Searcher. This dude only has a couple face features, including a nose and eye indents. This is shown through their design and modelling process. Of course, this was a failed creation. It didn't have legs, it crawled, and it looked disgusting. So Joey tried again, this time with his little good employee, well, many of course, shoving them in the ink machine to create a lost one. These guys have a bit more. They have legs, toes and fingers, but their proportions are a bit wrong and stretched, and maybe even a bit like sculpted. So this wasn't the perfect clone either. It was only when one of Joey's workers, loyal ones of that, tested, and one of them became Boris. This time it was perfect. It had all the human features, the proportions were great, it was cute, and it could still do all the things that the human could do before, such as repairing vents and doors, and just overall being helpful and cute. So, Joey, now inspired by his new creation, tried it again, this time with Susie Campbell, creating Alice Angel. Of course, Susie Campbell's personality was a bit weird. She has a dark side and a light side at the same time. That created a bit of a weird thing with Alice, where she had a weird, disgusting looking side with creepified features, and one with a nice, finished cartoon look, a happy and dark side, both figuratively and literally. So this is when Joey Drew himself wanted to become a cartoon character. Recently he broke his legs in possession of a wheelchair, but maybe he could end the pain if he became Bendy. Perfect. Of course, when you think about it, if the personality is really tied to the creature that's created, then Joey, with his spiteful, evil personality, should become something dark and evil. And of course, that's exactly what happened. He became Bendy himself. But this brings up the question, how are these creatures created? Well, it's a bit of a weird process. Well, the basic human, that maybe even a worker or just a normal employee working on the job, doing their stuff, they may be tricked into becoming their favourite cartoon character. Hey, so do you want to become a cartoon character? Maybe your favourite one. Haha. Joey puts them a smile, shoves them in the ink machine, tells them that they're going to become their perfect clone, when, depending on the personality, it might not even come out great. So, yeah, that's how it's created. But if this really truly is the case, then how are there so many? Well, it's more evident through notes. In Joey's house, he has a board filled with notes and pins and all sorts of stuff explaining who entered the ink machine and who didn't. Of course, people like Alison actually didn't enter the ink machine originally. It was only when that the ink itself became a creature. It's evident that like people like Boris are actually not real workers. Some are, in fact, real life people who have experienced tragedy, turning into these horrified monsters. But sometimes that's not true. Sometimes they're perfect because they don't have a personality. All that happens is that a few pieces of ink is shoved into the ink machine, only to come out with like a perfect clone. This is what happened to so many of the searchers and lost ones over experiments after years. This is evident because guess what? Brute Boris is murdered, but instead of turning like a dead body like Alice Angel, he turns into just a corpse that slowly fades away into ink. And Alison says she can't touch it, otherwise she'd be claimed. But how? This is all evident because they're made out of ink. They just mix and merge. And yeah. Using this, we've already finished our timeline. Searches, lost ones, first finished character, and a few horrifying creations, only for Joey to become Bendy, laying to waste on the bottom floors of the studio forever. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, I'll give you a free Christmas pudding. Not actually, I can't afford that. And after all of this, please send some love to the obvious egg. I enjoyed his part, and I thought that was excellent what you did. I didn't think of any of that. And he makes piles and piles of videos that are great. My favourite one being more mods but with a friend. Basically just goes on Minecraft, messes around with a friend, and gets free mods because he uses loads of Minecraft tokens, which he uses on skins. But if you don't need money, then get those mods because they're great. And it's fun seeing everyone mess around with them. So if you enjoyed today's video, like and subscribe. And check the obvious egg out. And he cracks you up. And he also cracks me up. Get it? Okay, I'm not funny anymore. Bye.